Good morning. My name is Gerry Maguire, and I'm the District Director of Veteran Services for North Andover and Boxford Townships. My job basically is to keep the promise of President Abraham Lincoln to care for the veteran, his widow, or his orphan. And I brought a couple of gentlemen here with me today to talk about the services that they have to offer to our veterans. This is Matt Diagati, and Matt's here to talk about the resources of vocation and career management for the veteran. This is R.J. Lawson, and he's here to talk about the benefits and the resources that he has to offer to our disabled veterans and our elderly veterans.
Good morning.
Good morning.
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 Thanks for having
Nice to have you guys here.
Nice to be here.
So, Matt, why don't you tell me a little bit about your organization and what you can offer our veterans?
Absolutely, Gerry. Thank you so much for having us here this morning. So, Career Resources, we're based out of Haverhill, 76 Merrimack Street, downtown Haverhill, so we have a nice retail facility there. And it's for our veterans of any military background, whatever they've been a part of. And really, our goal is to help them with career development. And that can mean anything from resume writing, cover letter writing, interview prepping, clothes for their interviews. So it's really more than just a resource of finding them a job. It's really a resource for their whole employment experience.
Now, do you take a veteran and just plug them into a job, or is there a process where you find out where the veteran would be best suited?
Absolutely, it's a process. When they come first meet with us, it's a really an intensive assessment of really where they are. As you know, being a veteran yourself, transitioning from out of the military services into the civilian sector it can be a daunting task at best. And so we really break down what they were doing in the military, and oftentimes it's not as clear as, you know, if they were a medic in the military, that's going to transfer into some medical skill here in the civilian sector.
Oh, really? I thought that would be an easy transfer.
It can be, but it may not be for the military veteran, just because they may have other issues going on, and to really, we really advocate on their behalf to assist them with that complete development of their career background.
All right, so if you have a veteran and you find out that he wants to do one thing, but he's really not yet qualified for it, do you offer any training to get him qualified?
Yeah, so part of my job is to really, again, doing that overall assessment, and part of that assessment is just breaking down what it is they're looking for through conversations with them. And we will offer some vocational training or lead them to the resources that they need in order to find that particular training as well.
All right. The interview process, when a veteran, or for anybody, I imagine, it's kind of nerve-wracking when you're a young fella or a young lady and you want to interview for a job. Tell me about the role play that you do.
So, you know, today's day and age, it's you know, a blessing and a curse at times. It can be to submit a resume online, right? I mean, basically what you're doing is you're submitting a resume into a portal, but so on thousands of other individuals as well. So that can be a daunting task. So we really prepare them for that process. We assist them with that process. I have veterans sit with me, and we go through together and actually look at jobs for them. And as far as the interview prepping, yeah, it's an intensive role play. You know, I'll have them sit. If it takes 15 minutes and I feel that they're qualified to answer questions, then great. But if not, it might be one session, it might be 2 or 3 different sessions. It's really just formalizing the process for them to just make them aware of the types of questions that can be asked, and really prepare them for the answers in the way that they probably should be answered.
Now, I know that, you know, from talking to you earlier this morning that you have some funds available for training. What type of training would you offer a veteran?
It can be really anything they're looking for. I'll give you a great example. We had a veteran come in. He wanted to be a firefighter. I don't remember the exact reasons, but for whatever reason, they had missed a cutoff date for the local fire department. So he came to us and wanting to just, you know, live that dream, essentially becoming a firefighter. So we looked for training. We actually found some wildfire training out in Arizona, and it was part of a certification course. So we actually got him a part of that course. We helped fund it for him, including he needed specific equipment, boots, things of that nature. And I believe it was a 6 to 9 month program, which he completed. It was static, came back, and he's going to be taking the firefighter test.
All right, now you said that you help with those expenses. Does the veteran incur any cost at all?
Every circumstance is very different with that aspect of the training and certification process. So I can't say that we would fund 100% of what, depending on what the program is, right? So, but we can at minimum lead them to the correct resources. For instance, veterans have something that may be available to them called vocational rehab, if they
Okay.
happen to qualify for that. And oftentimes, where we really come into play, Gerry, is they may not even know about that resource, but we do,
Yeah.
and we can provide the information to get them into that funnel, into that process.
You hit on something that I say very often, is that the biggest problem that a veteran has is the veteran doesn't know what he doesn't know, and there's a ton of resources.
Absolutely.
A ton of resources that are available to veterans. They just need to know how and when to tap into them. Vocational rehabilitation is for a veteran that is disabled 20% service connected or greater.
Absolutely.
Can you transfer the GI Bill to a vocational fire training scenario?
Again, that would be a case-by-case basis. I think that would be more for college-bound, college-related.
Yeah.
But really, our role is, oftentimes when veterans come to us they think they're ready for employment, and there may be other daunting issues going on. It may be housing, it may be medical, it may be they want to put a claim in for medical that they may not even know about. So we assess their situation and act as their liaison to guide them through those connections and network that we have, kind of the spider web effect, right? The 6 degrees of separation, and help them along that. And then when they're ready, and we know they're ready for employment, then we'll aggressively go through that process with them and help them find the jobs that they're looking for.
And what we wanted to do is we wanted to touch on the full spectrum of services that are available, and you will take a young veteran and help him not get just a job but a career.
Absolutely.
And then RJ, you're on the other end of that spectrum,
Right.
where you're in the healthcare industry, and you have services that you provide to our elderly veterans and to our disabled veterans.
Absolutely. And I think if there was a motto is least restrictive, right? What we want to do is we want that veteran to be in an environment that is the least restrictive environment possible. So if our service means that you're not going to a nursing home or an assisted living, and we're able to care for you in the home, where you're most comfortable, that's what we want to do. We go in tiers. We have nursing, but your nurse isn't only your nurse. Your nurse will function as your case manager too. We'll help you with the piles of paperwork that there are. We'll help you. We'll be somebody who will be an advocate for you in whatever endeavors you go into. I mean, we do everything from helping with fuel assistance to making sure that they have proper equipment. We also have a physical therapy department in our company. And we'll go in and we'll do that in home, so the veteran isn't needing to travel long distances in order to get physical therapy. And we're dealing with the aging population, but we also have a really solid foundation in trauma. Before I started working at Boston Home Health, I ran a psychiatric hospital and dealt with an awful lot of behavioral health issues related to trauma. So there's a slice of that. There's we certainly do a lot of work with aging veterans, but the foundation of all of it, the foundation of all the different pieces, is that the veteran is the captain of the treatment team. The veteran drives the service. The veteran is the person who says, "I want this. I don't want this. I'll take this." And sometimes, with a lot of the people that we've encountered, there's a little bit of mistrust. There's a little bit of, "Hey, wait a minute. I can do this on my own, or I've been on my own, or I've had this kind of pitch before," and we've worked real hard to set a pace. Where the veteran is in control, and we don't overstep what the veteran is asking for. We're honest in our assessments. We let the veteran know where we think the need is, but ultimately it's a treatment team decision, and as I said, the veteran is the captain of that team. But we're going to work with your doctors, whether it's an oncology situation, whether it's a general situation, if it's post-surgical, whether it's a psychiatric situation, whatever the situation is, you're going to step in and we're going to work with the entire treatment team, making sure that everybody knows what everybody is doing, So it's coordinated, and the veteran, again, and if I said this 100 times, I don't think I'd be saying it too much, has to stand as the captain of that treatment team, because it's their care, it's their life, and our primary purpose is to enhance that life, is to make the best possible living situation, and have them stay in place, and it's tricky. It's a lot of work, but when it's done right, it really is a beautiful thing. And we've had scores of examples of people that were heading down a path that they didn't want to go down. They absolutely didn't want to go down, and they didn't know. They're pulling at a whole bunch of different strings, but they didn't know that a service like Boston Home Health was out there, and we were able to step in. And in multiple cases, keep people from ending up in a living situation, including the street that they didn't want to be in, because that's another level that we advocate on. Sometimes the difference between us and not having us is living in not a glorious living environment, but their own living environment, or being on the street, or being subject to other kind of perils. So it's exciting work.
A history with both of you. I've worked with you.
Yeah.
I may be new in this particular position, but I've worked with veterans for many years. And last year, your organization helped me, and I can't use the veteran's name, but we'll say the veteran in Wilmington. Yeah. And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about right away. This was a gentleman who, in 1967, he was pinched between a tank and an armored personnel carrier that broke his back. He stood 5 feet tall, and today he's still in a wheelchair. He because of his lack of mobility, he gained an awful lot of weight. He weighed more than 400 pounds, and you were able to send nurses out to him on a daily basis to help him with wounds that he had, and he had contracted MRSA in these wounds. And my latest report on this veteran is all of that is behind him. He's living a very happy life. How I got in touch with this veteran, or the veteran got in touch with me, was he had written to one of the VA hospitals, and he got no satisfaction. According to him, he got no satisfaction. So he actually wrote the President of the United States. And somebody on the President's staff wrote the hospital. And then the veteran called me, and I ended up calling you, and I went to meet with the director. And I found out that the biggest problem was that veteran had 5 different civilian insurance policies, which were preventing the VA from helping him. Once we reduced those insurance policies, his life took off again. He's he's not mobile, but he's got an electric wheelchair. He gets around the house. He's happy. You do remember the veteran I'm talking about?
Yeah. And you know what, Gerry, you have been a gateway for so many different veterans with so many different stories, and that's the desired outcome, right? We. There's some things that just can't be fixed. They're broken to a point where, rehabilitation, care, and comfort is the goal, and then some sense of life. We don't want to just keep people alive. We want to make sure that they're living, and I think that the partnership between your organization, my organization, and Matt's organization, it's so important, because they may not want to come straight to me. They're going to feel more comfortable, calling, reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, listen, I'm in trouble. I don't know what kind of trouble I'm in, but I know something's broken." Right. And then you kind of triage it, and you let us know where we stand in the whole thing. And that's everything to somebody who's in need. And for all of us, I don't care who you are, there's been a time for all of us that we've had to reach up and we needed some help, and it's an awful lonely feeling when no one's looking back at you. And I think that you being at the gate, you're kind of the gatekeeper of this is really, it's such an important role. And I hope that the veterans understand the confidentiality and the fact that they can go to you and they can vent, they can talk, and it doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to go anywhere. And if we get involved and they see our product, and I'm sure it's the same way with Matt. If they after 15 minutes say, hey, listen, you know what? No, then it's no. It's this isn't a hard sell. This is supportive services for existing or emerging conditions, and it's all about community tenure and quality of life.
Now let me ask you both about federal claims. When you have a veteran who you think should write or have written for him a federal claim for compensation, how do you handle that? And RJ, when you have an elderly veteran who should write a claim for aid and attendance, how do you handle that?
I'll
go first. So, Gerry, my job personally is not qualified in that role, but what I am qualified for my role is to kind of have the conversation with the veteran and provide the resource. And I call you, Gerry. That's what I call.
Okay.
Quite frankly, because I know that's one of your specialties, basically.
All right. Yeah.
But really, to your point, RJ, and in general, to the point, our roles are to serve the veterans, right? It's to provide that community. The veterans organization, the VA itself, can sometimes be a daunting task. It's a federal governmental agency, right? And there's sometimes a lot of red tape and bureaucracy that goes involved. And I think we're on the ground. We're ground support. We're at the ground level, and it's through. We're not known, that much, unfortunately, but through our efforts and many other individuals' efforts who are part of our community, it's about getting that outreach. It's about getting the word out to the veterans that we can be your voice, we can be your support, and I think that's one of the main things we provide. It's selfless work sometimes, right? But it's rewarding work nonetheless. And I think just providing the veterans the voice that they don't normally have, and we're that guide, that pathway for them. So I think it's knowing when a veteran needs something that's even outside of my realm, but yet knowing I have individuals like yourselves to call and other individuals as well. That's really where the
No, that was a great answer. It wasn't the answer I expected, but thank you for that. There are a lot of organizations, besides a veteran service officer, who can write a federal claim. There are veteran service organizations like the VFW that have service officers, and that's where I came from. I was a VFW state service officer. But the American Legion, the DAV, even the AMVETS, they all have service officers. So that I don't get overwhelmed with federal claims, I sometimes use these organizations myself. And I was hoping that you would touch on those. But thank you for the compliment. But please use the VFW, the DAV, the American Legion, and AMVETS. And aid and attendance, how do you handle that?
Well, most of what we do for the veteran is we see what product they have as far as insurance is concerned, whether or not it's a Mass Health product or if it's a Medicare product. So that's basically how we do it, or if it's a private insurance, and we'll work with multiple insurance companies, and that's essentially how it's done. When we run into trouble, if we have issues with paying, unlike much like Matt, I'm gonna go to somebody like you, Gerry, and sit down and say, listen, I need a little bit more education. Is there a way to navigate this system in order to ensure that this veteran gets the services that they're
Now,
that
last
they
week
need.
you accompanied me to a nursing home here in town to help one of our veterans. By the way, he went home yesterday. He's well fitted with a new hospital bed, a new wheelchair, new portable commode, and ramps. The wheelchair ramps were built by Century Construction out of Methuen, Ron Marsan, and a lot of the equipment, you had a hand in the acquiring of through benefits, but J.T. Torres at the New England Veterans Liberty House in Lawrence purchased some equipment for this veteran as well. But just yesterday, I filed an aid and attendance for him, and I expect that to come back positive. but aid and attendance is a means-based benefit. So I'm expecting this veteran to get anywhere between $200 and $2,000 per month to help him with additional medical expenses. And a lot of our elderly veterans have no idea that they can get aid and attendance.
Nope.
So if you're listening, I'm not calling you an old guy, but if you're an old guy, give us a call and talk to us about aid and attendance, and let me tell you about it.
In that case that we're talking about, for not only the veteran, but his concern for his entire family. I mean, that took so much off his shoulders, because we have folks out there. We have folks out there that are feeling like a burden, right? They're feeling like they're not only in a hole, but they're dragging other people down into the hole with them, and that does not need to be the case.
Right.
We
have to be the case.
We work so hard to make sure that people understand. Hey, listen, this is. This happened. I mean, these unfortunate circumstances happen. We're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there. In a lot of cases, we're there every single day, and it's a very personal relationship. I mean, when one of my folks, and I go out every single night. I'm a partner in the organization in Boston Home Health, but I go out every single night. I'm in the projects every 6 nights a week. Because it's important to me to be out there and seeing this. I'm with veterans every single day,
Right.
And I see
large
really
is your
good people. It's pretty big. I mean, we're Boston Home Health extends from Boston. We have a very big presence in Lowell and Lawrence and Haverhill. We're increasing our footprint in North Andover and in some of the suburbs, but have a real strong presence in the cities in the Merrimack Valley. And we on any given day could be making 500 nursing visits. So it's substantial.
Last year, I had a veteran. I traveled out to Holyoke the Holyoke Soldiers Home every Thursday, and I had a veteran who needed your services. So I contracted Trisha from your company, and although she didn't send somebody from your organization, she was able to contact another organization out in the western part of the state, and through networking provide services for that veteran.
Absolutely.
I was blown away by that.
Yeah, it's a business. It's competitive, but the good ones, and I think we're a good one, has leadership like Tricia Murray, who is going to put a veteran before. She's not going to fold up the tent and say, hey, listen, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
We reach out, and people reach out to us too. We get a lot of calls from other health agencies and say, listen, that's not our specialty, or it's out of our room, or we haven't been able to really lock into this person, and can you pick them up? And we do that in return, and that's the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be patient centered.
Right.
It's supposed to be what's best for this human being, and then we can add up the numbers later on. And I'm really proud that that's the way we do it. We take care of the person first, and then if you do that, the rest of it's going to take care of itself.
Right. And how large is your organization?
So we have a corporate office, Ward Hill in Haverhill,
Yeah.
probably roughly about 150 employees.
Oh,
and then
wow.
and then our satellite office is downtown Haverhill, 76 Merrimack Street. We have a couple different components to Career Resources as an organization, but predominantly I am veteran focused, and we have a specific veteran program.
Right. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of information. I just want to recap that, RJ offers a lot of medical assistance to our disabled veterans and our elderly veterans. And, Matt has taken, and I've seen him take veterans who were next to broke, not only financially, but, in the spirit. And was able to not only help him with a career and a job, but with following up on that hope and bringing that back to life. My office is located in Town Hall at 120 Main Street here in North Andover. My door is open to every veteran. It always has been. If you wore the boots, I don't care what war you were in. I don't care whether you were in a war or not. I don't care if you have medals. I only care you wore the boots. Come in and let me know what's going on. Be happy to help you file a federal claim. talk to you about the benefits of Chapter 115 in your town. I've picked up the phone and introduced veterans to their VSO. Sometimes we've actually taken them to the VSO and introduced them. So North Andover is a very, very friendly community, as well as Boxford. I met with the town manager just yesterday, who reiterated that he stands behind our programs. March 26th will be the first all-female veteran coffee social. That'll be located at the senior center. The town has set aside a little bit of funds so that our female veterans who wore the same boots that we did, but they have different problems than we do, can get together and confide in one another. It's a safe, secure place. It's a good environment. So if you're a female veteran, please call and talk to me about these coffee socials. They're going to happen every other week. There'll be events throughout the summer. This coming summer, we're planning, depending upon how many female veterans we get, Museum of Fine Arts. We talked about a dinner and movie night. And this, again, is just for female veterans. We don't care where you live. Come have a cup of coffee with us. My name is Gerry Maguire, and I'm happy to talk to you today. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Gerry. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.